Hello and welcome to the Buzzer Beater. I'm your host, Quinn Carey, joined alongside Jake Pritchard, bringing you the latest college basketball scores, news, and updates. As you can tell, I endured a pretty gruesome facial injury this week, but just like all my fans had hoped for, I'm here. I would never let this sideline me. I mean, Pritch, honestly, no one here at the Buzzer Beater would let this sideline them.
What was it, a shark attack?
It was a shark attack. I'm a victim of a shark attack. Battled back, was able to get here. But you know I wouldn't.
Oswego Med, they took good care of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss this.
It's good.
And Pritch, today's a great day, and you want to know why?
Why is that?
Because today is the last episode of our show before the college basketball season officially starts this Tuesday.
Thank God.
That means every week from here until April, we will have college basketball games galore. And honestly, this is just the best time for sports in general.
I can't wait.
NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA.
Oswego basketball.
All one time. Oswego basketball. And we're going to be starting something new today. I'm heading over to our monitor right now to kick off our first segment of Pritch's Picks of the Week. Pritch, you ready for this?
Sure am.
Here we go. Pritch, the first matchup I got for you is probably the game of the week that everyone's excited to watch. Duke versus Kentucky. 4-seeded Duke, 4-seeded Kentucky in the Champions Classic. This is a star-studded matchup between two of the most historic programs in college basketball history. Pritch, who do you got in this one?
I know a lot of people, especially yourself, are going to be going with Duke because of Cam Reddish and Zion Williamson and all these other monsters or whatever they are. Yeah. I'm going with Kentucky. I am a huge Cal fan. I've always supported them, and I think that Kentucky is definitely going to be put on the map this year. I think they've been underrated in the past few years, and I think they take down Duke on opening night.
Well, I cannot disagree with you more. I got Duke winning this one. You know, Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett, they are a force to be reckoned with. R.J. Barrett has the whole package. Zion Williamson is much better overall than a lot of people suspected. And I think, you know, we watched them in the Canadian tour that they took.
That means nothing.
They beat some good teams up there in Canada.
Oswego High School?
No, Canadian basketball is in a good spot. I mean, the Raptors are good.
Yeah, the Raptors are good.
Your boy R.J. Barrett is from there. He's from Canada. It's in a good spot. Okay. They had a great tour up there. They've played some teams. They've showed that they're committed to playing defense. And I just think that their lineup is going to be too much for Kentucky, and they also have a lot of freshmen, and they struggle to get going early.
It's going to be tough for these teams. I agree with you to get things going, but I think Kentucky is going to adapt to that. Especially, I think they're going to adapt to it sooner in the second half, and I think they're going to beat Duke convincingly.
I could not disagree more. Again, I think Duke wins this one big. The second game I got for you, Michigan State versus Kansas. This is the official start of the college basketball season, as this is the first game of the Champions Classic, with top-ranked Kansas taking on number 10 Michigan State. I've been skeptical of Kansas in the past, but they come into this one ranked number 1 in the country, but they're going up against a gritty Spartans team. Who do you got in this one, Pritch?
I'm going to go with the favorite, so to say. I think it's tough to call favorites right now, especially the first game of the year. You never know what can happen, but I'm definitely going with Kansas. I think Kansas recruiting class this year is absolutely amazing, and I just think that they're not number 1 in the nation for no reason. I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year, and I don't think there's many teams that are going to be better than them this year. So.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you on this one. My gut tells me that Michigan State is going to pull this one out, but Lord knows my gut just can't be trusted. So I think I'm going to take Kansas in this one too. I think they got too much. You know, Michigan State, they're well coached, they're gritty. I just don't think they have enough talent. You know, Bill Self has a loaded squad coming in with some great returners and Udoka and some of those guys, with also another star-studded recruiting class there at Kansas. I think they take this one probably also convincingly. The third game I got for you, in a rematch of last year's NCAA championship, the number 19 Michigan Wolverines will be traveling to play number 9 Villanova next week. We very rarely get to see national championship rematches during the regular season, but Pritch, the college basketball gods have blessed us this year. Who do you got in this one?
Everything in my gut in the past, everything tells me to pick Villanova.
As you should.
But I'm not. I'm picking John Beilein and the Wolverines because I am a huge fan of John Beilein, first of all. I think Jordan Poole, I think him coming back, obviously losing Wagner is huge, and they lost a lot of key players in that team, and they're probably not national title worthy again like they were last year, but I 100% think that Michigan will win this game. Actually, I don't think that. I just want them to. I don't even think they're going to win. I just want them to win. So I think that with all my hard evidence here, that Michigan wins this game.
Yeah, you're really supporting your pick there, Pritch. I completely disagree with this one yet again. I think the Wildcats of Villanova are going to pick up right where they left off, and I think they steamroll the Wolverines in this one. I'm a big Michigan fan as well, but I just think that Villanova they won the national championship 2 out of the last 3 years. How can you count them out? And I know they lose. I know they lose a lot of guys to the draft and from last year's squad. But I think we're going to see an emergence of this kid right here, Colin Gillespie for Jay Wright's squad. He didn't get to play much behind a lot of those guys from last year's team, and I think he is ready to explode and keep Villanova at the top of the college basketball world. I think Villanova's winning this one. Again, I don't think it's going to be close.
How many starters did even return to Villanova this year? What was it, like 2? I think
it might even be. Honestly, it might be 0. I don't exactly know. Might be 0. But nonetheless, Jay Wright has had this team. They lost so many guys from that first championship team. 2 years later, we're right back winning it again. I think you just can't count them out. I think they're ranked number 9 in the country. I think that's a shame.
I agree.
I think they should be a top 5 team at the very worst.
Especially with our next team being top 10.
Particularly with this next matchup. We've got Nevada versus Loyola Chicago, and Nevada's ranked number 7 in the country, which is very surprising to me. This one's a while down the road. It's not this month. This is probably the best mid-major matchup anyone's going to see all season long. Loyola Chicago, though, unranked, while Nevada ranked number 7, even though Loyola Chicago beat them in last year's tournament. I don't understand it. Who do you got in this one, Pritch?
I have had huge expectations out of Nevada since summer. I have thought that Nevada is going to be a good team. They're returning quite a few starters. I think they're returning 4 out of their 5 starters. The recruiting class is stacked. So Nevada, for me, I think is going to be fine. I think they're going to be good, but to have them at number 7 in the country, I don't think that's not fair to them because they're not going to live up to those expectations. I think they're going to be a 4 or 5 seed come tournament time. I think they're going to have a great year, especially in conference play.
But what about this matchup?
This matchup, I do not see them. I see them winning. I do not see Loyola Chicago pulling off another upset. I think the only reason why Loyola Chicago is even relevant is because of their big Cinderella story last year, but I don't see them nearly as good as this year.
Pritch. Loyola Chicago, by whoever ranks these teams, by you, is getting absolutely no respect, and I don't understand it. What they were able to accomplish last year, knocking off top-ranked team after top-ranked team, it's astounding they're not ranked, and I think they're honestly better this year than they were last year. They return a lot of guys. They're going to be better. They're going to have the pedigree of what they did last year. I think they're going to be better. I think the Ramblers are going home in this one with a W.
Do we even know what conference they play in?
Yeah, the Missouri Valley, the same one. Wichita State, another Final Four team before they move. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Nevada. What about Nevada? Where's Nevada? All right, moving on. Maybe the most important matchup of opening week: UNC versus the Wofford Terriers. This game would probably get no attention from pretty much anybody if it weren't for the fact that this Wofford team had the biggest win in school history last year when they upset UNC in December. Upsets like this only happen probably once in a program's history, so it's unlikely we'll see another win from the Terriers. But Pritch, do you think they have any chance?
Why is this on here? Why did you even bother? We saw
what happened last year.
Hey, we made this script together. I know that, but there's no reason why. We have so many other games that could have made this. The Syracuse game will probably be more interesting than that, and I don't even love Syracuse that much, even though I'm from there. I don't know why it's on here. It's going to be disgusting. UNC is going to absolutely annihilate Wofford, and it's not even going to be close.
Well, here's the thing, Pritch. I have absolutely no evidence to support my pick here other than the fact that I love underdogs. And at one point, I was a proud owner of 2 Boston Terriers, which is the team's mascot there at Wofford. Rest in peace, Opal and Toby. There they are. Beautiful pups. I miss you. But the thing of it is, I just think I'm morally obligated to go with Wofford here. I think they're going to win. And now that I think they're going to win, I think they're winning big in a blowout win over UNC 2 years in a row, Pritch.
This is a second week in a row that Monday morning I'm going to have to get you drug tested. I don't know what is going on with you.
I'm telling you, this team is good. They're underrated.
I understand you had the dogs, but that doesn't mean that the dogs
are just going to say no to these dogs,
They're
man?
great-looking dogs.
Enough of this, Pritch. We're heading to commercial break. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about some Gonzaga injury reports and how UMBC remains to stay relevant after months after beating Virginia. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it.
Go.
And she was like, yeah. And I was like, no. And then she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, what?
Ryan just texted me.
Oh my god, what did he say?
Netflix and chill?
Netflix and chill, that's like so last year. It's all about WTOP movies on demand and chill.
You are so right.
Yo, bro, what's wrong?
Yo, bro. My girl left me, bro.
But why?
Because I don't watch WTOP 10 movies on demand.
This new dad is picturing a tree house in the sky, but he's ignoring the instructions. Good luck, big guy. His kids know that he's building without a clue. Never been so good with nails and glue. Now we're trapped inside a box. I hope mom knows what to do. Mom! See, you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Hey, it's Ava, and this is Tess from Do Your Selfie, where we recreate the hottest looks from today's biggest music videos.
After cleaning out our closet, we have a lot of clothes we don't wear anymore.
Like this old pile of t-shirts.
It's not garbage, it's actually a new rug.
And to make it, all you need to do is cut, tie, and glue.
Cut the t-shirt into strips.
Tie the strips into knots.
And glue the knots to the bath mat. I love it. Give your garbage another life.
And recycle.
Hello and welcome back to the Buzzer Beater. I'm Quinn Carey with Jake Pritchard. Bad news for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, the team that I picked to win the national championship at the end of the season. As star forward, Killian Tilly was ruled out for 8 to 10 weeks after suffering an ankle injury. Tilly is the heart and soul of this team and has certainly been expected to carry a huge load for the Bulldogs this season. And it's going to be tough for this team to lose a guy who can impact the game on both ends of the floor like he does. A great defender, and really just brings the energy, and as you can see here, an awesome offensive player in Mark Few's system. Pritch, how do you think Gonzaga is going to respond to this news, and how do you think without Tilly they're going to respond going forward?
I think that this injury is absolutely huge for them. I think it could either make or break this team. They certainly have the pieces that can help them stay above water, but this will definitely test the team's flexibility. We'll be able to see how much they'll be able to adapt without him, so to say. Their star player. Typically, this would be like something, it'd be best if they could miss a non-conference schedule, but they have games against Texas A&M, Creighton, North Carolina, and Tennessee, who are, those teams right there are going.
Those are teams you gotta beat to get a good seed in that tournament.
Top 25 teams. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are the teams you gotta beat to get yourself a good seed in the tournament, because they in their conference they don't play a lot of great teams, and that's the unfortunate thing with their schedule. What's good for Tilly is that he'll have plenty of time to get eased back into it, probably have a close to undefeated record in their conference, and be ready to go come tournament time. But again, the affecting of their tournament seed, if they lose some of these non-conference matchups, that could be big. They open up their season this Tuesday against Idaho State, a team they shouldn't have any problems with, even without Tilly.
Absolutely.
And again, the Bulldogs they're lucky with the conference schedule they have. But this is really a poorly timed injury in the sense of they're going to be playing some teams that they should beat and really need to beat to prove that they are the number 3 team in the country, like they're ranked. And unfortunately, I think we're probably going to see them dip from that. And maybe I'll be rethinking that national championship prediction. We'll see. I still got faith in the Bulldogs. I think they can get it done.
I mean, I think they'll be fine. I don't think that this is going to completely decimate their season or anything like that. But I also think that coming in and having your best player out for 2 months, that's not obviously good for any team. Right. But for them to be going into non-conference play and having to play these types of teams, that's tough. North Carolina is a team that's probably going to be in the top 10 for the entire season. Tennessee.
Until they lose to Wofford.
Yeah. Tennessee could be in the top 25 for the entire year. A lot of people see them as a top 10 team. I don't know about that. We're going to have to wait to see about that. Texas A&M, always solid. So, I mean, that's 3 games right there that you almost kind of like you probably got to get 2 out of the 4 of their main games in the non-conference to stay at a top 4 seed throughout the season here to get into March Madness. So I think it's going to be tough for them. But if they can beat one of those teams, if they can beat UNC, a team like that, or even Tennessee, that would be huge for them.
And they are deep. They have other players other than just Killian Tilly, but he, again, is the heart and soul and their best player. A big loss for Gonzaga. We'll see how they do moving forward. UMBC basketball. Now, my brother is a UMBC graduate. Somehow they keep making their way back onto our show, and somehow they seem to remain relevant in the college basketball world. Up until past March, no one had ever heard of them. No one knew anything about them until they beat number 1 seed of Virginia as the 16th seed in the NCAA tournament. And this is one of the best videos and stories I've seen. Here they are. Most teams, when you win your conference and you head to the NCAA tournament, as you can see there, you get the American East Conference champion banner. And you raise that just as any team would when you win the conference championship. But UMBC, who has been vocal at trolling teams, and not even just in college basketball, in other sports, teams that have big upsets or teams that lose to underdog teams, they're very vocal on social media, and I think they're hilarious. And they have some good-natured fun. I think it's unbelievable. And then here they are raising a banner in their gym for the fact that they beat Virginia. They won their first-round game in the NCAA tournament. No team does that. No one raises a banner. I went to Bucknell. I've been to Bucknell, visited their facilities. They have a trophy case, and in that trophy case, they have a commemorative basketball from when they upset number 2 seeded Kansas in 2005. Understandable. You see it all the time. But UMBC goes extra, and they stay winning. They stay relevant. Everyone's talking about this all over social media. Yet again, the Retrievers just find a way to let people know what they did in March, and they are not going to let people forget.
To have a banner in the rafters for one game that you won. If it's a national championship, if that's a Final Four, if it's a Sweet 16, Elite 8, understandable. You won one game against a team, Virginia. I'm not taking anything away from that win because UMBC, as you said, was practically irrelevant going in. But you beat Virginia, who typically chokes in March. So I do not support this one bit.
Really?
I never will.
I think this is awesome.
No, you can't. This is one game, and we're going to hang a banner and just leave it there forever? Or is this going to be a one-season thing? Like, how long is this going to last?
Well, I mean, what you got to give them is this was an historic upset. This is the first time it's ever happened, the first to ever do it. But, UMBC, they're just I don't know who's in charge of this athletic program exactly, who decides what they're doing on this. But I want to meet him. I want to shake his hand. And I think this is absolutely incredible. I think this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
The social media pages are A+.
Yes,
they got
unbelievable.
A 4.0.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
This whole thing about the UMBC raising up a banner, not cool with it. Don't like it.
Well, I love it. But I'm going to transition here. I'm going to bring to you my first featured team of the week. And my featured team is none other than the reigning national champion Villanova Wildcats. We ended last season with the Wildcats cruising to double-digit wins in all of the NCAA tournament games they played, including the national championship win over Michigan. Villanova has won 2 of the past 3 national championships, and Jay Wright has changed the college basketball game with his efficient, high-powered offensive philosophy that mimics modern-day NBA schemes. The Wildcats lose a lot of players, as I touched on earlier, from last year. But as I said, I think we are going to see a breakout year from Colin Gillespie. And until someone can prove that they can stop this Villanova juggernaut, Pritch, I don't see any reason why this team isn't back in the Final Four, which is a place that they have become very familiar with these past few years.
I agree. I think Villanova is going to be a great team. I think they're going to be possibly even Final Four caliber and national championship, as you said. But they lose the first game of the year to Michigan simply because John Beilein.
Yeah.
There's no evidence. There's no evidence whatsoever. But it's going to happen. You just wait. I think Villanova is a top 5 team throughout the entire year. I think they're a 1 seed going into the tournament, and I think that they go back to the Final Four. National championship, we'll have to see what region.
Yeah, I mean, once you get into that Final Four, I think is the big thing. You get to the Final Four, anything can happen. I think it's hard to predict who's going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you can get to the Final Four, particularly Jay Wright's Villanova's teams, I think they've got a chance to win it. And I don't see any reason why they're not in contention.
Until they play Kentucky, of course.
Yep. When we come back, we're going to touch on local college basketball news. Stay tuned. You are not going to want to miss it.
Is how are you, Precious? Okay.
Take out the precious. It's way too cheesy.
Okay, yeah.
Just go,
sure.
hey, how are you?
Nope.
How's your day?
Yeah.
Don't be cheesy.
Yeah, I figured.
So, what'd she say?
She's still typing. I'm not sure. She never takes this long.
I wouldn't worry about it. Give it a few minutes.
Okay.
The second I got on the campus, I knew Oswego was the place to go.
There's a place for everybody at Oswego.
This school just opens the world to you. Have the opportunity to explore and to learn so many different things, not only about yourself, but the people around you and the world.
It definitely is about the student. I felt it to be very about me.
Now that I'm here, I can't imagine myself anywhere else.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back to the Buzzer Beater. I am not Quinn Carey. I am Jake Pritchard. This is
Quinn Carey.
And we are back here. Today we're going to look at the local college basketball teams, and for starters, we're going to start with SUNY Oswego. Oswego this past weekend played University of Rochester in a scrimmage, and their leading scorer comes as a little bit of a surprise, not really. Senior guard from Geneseo, Quinn Carey, had 21 points in the scrimmage this past weekend, and after not practicing for a couple weeks, just kind of came out of nowhere. It's just a resurgence, and the shooting was it was all there. So Quinn, how do you think you played this weekend?
You know, Pritch, I thought I played. It felt good to get out there. As you said, I missed a lot of practice. I had an illness, so I missed pretty much the majority of our first 2 weeks of practice. So you know, it was good to just get out there and play. My teammates were able to get me a lot of good open looks, which was nice. I was able to knock them down. Felt really good to see the ball go in the hoop. But, you know, I thought we played really well overall as a team. We have a lot of new guys, a couple of transfers, a couple of freshmen that are going to play some big minutes.
Absolutely.
And you know, so I think it's gonna be a process of getting us to mesh, similar to Duke and Kentucky. But you know, I think we have a chance to be one of the top teams in the SUNYAC if we can really play well and play together, which I think we're going to.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
really excited to be here.
I think especially looking at a couple of the other teams in the conference, teams like Geneseo, they lost a lot of guys. Obviously, Plattsburgh returns some of their best players in Jonathan Patron. Same story with Cortland, kind of. Justin Cooper, Tyler Lydon's brother, Zach Lydon.
Yep.
So I think there's definitely going to be some competition, but I think Oswego ranks right up there with them. Like you said, we have Joe Sullivan coming this year. He's a transfer. Obviously, you averaged 16 points last year in the SUNYAC conference, so this is nothing new to you. So how do you think the team's, you know, looking so far, and how do you think they're going to look throughout the year?
Well, you know, just based off what we had last year, again, you never know exactly what teams are bringing in, what teams are losing, how they're going to mesh. But, you know, I think we should be right up there. You know, Plattsburgh's going to be tough. My little brother's there, so, you know, huge addition. But, you know, they're always tough. John Patron is an All-American. He's going to be a handful. Cortland has a lot of guys. But, you know, I think we have Joe Sullivan, a transfer from a Division II school. Tyler Pierre was also all-conference last season. You know, I think we should be able to be right up there with the top teams and have a chance to compete for that SUNYAC title.
Of course, sophomore point guard Liam Sanborn coming back, Brandon Gartland coming back, Timmy Marshall coming back. I mean, there's definitely pieces. And then Ish Chisholm, someone who didn't play a lot last year, definitely this year I could see, you know, kind of sparking up that conference a little bit. So,
yeah, I think Ish, when he's had a hamstring injury, but I think when he gets back, he could really shock some teams because no one really saw him play last year. But he's a guy who's very skilled and can really play.
The whole team is just it's crazy this year, the talent level that this team has.
I'm excited for it.
Me too.
And the most popular local team is not Oswego, believe it or not. It is the Syracuse Orange. Last year they made it to the Sweet 16. You know, Jim Boeheim, his team is ranked 13th in the country entering this season. They have a solid group of returners coming back. And Pritch, you're from the area. You know this team about as well as anyone. What are your expectations for this Syracuse team?
I'm by all means happy to see them in the top 25. 13 for me. It's a little high for the Orange. I'm a huge fan of them. I think Buddy Boeheim, as pictured here, is definitely a good addition. Yep. He's going to be a freshman. He's going to be a lights-out shooter. Yep. But guys like Tyus Battle coming back, Jalen Carey, who's a freshman, Frank Howard's coming back. So there's definitely some good pieces there for the Orange. I think it's just to have them at 13 is definitely tough, especially in the ACC, because you have teams like Virginia, Duke, UNC, teams who are going to constantly be at the top of that. And if Cuse can overcome them, by all means, that'll be great. But I don't know. It's tough to see.
Well, you know what I do like about Cuse, I am not the biggest fan year in, year out. What I will say I like is that they've gone into the past 2, even 3 tournaments as not that great of a seed because they play in a tough conference. So, you know, their record is not indicative of how good they really are. And Jim Boeheim gets his teams ready to play come March. We saw it last year. They made the Sweet 16. I don't remember what seed they were, but they were not projected to make the Sweet 16. So, you know, I think they're going to be ready come tournament time. And I think they're being in the good conference, the ACC. I think they're going to be a lot more battle tested than a lot of the mid-major and even lower high major schools that you're going to see in the tournament.
100%. And then returning all 5 of your starters is obviously huge. So having, you know, Chukwu coming back, someone who averaged, you know, 7-8 rebounds a game, having Dolajai come back, who really came to life in the tournament and ACC tournament, just in general, kind of came out of nowhere. No one really suspected him to be, you know, some star, which he actually turned into in March. Yep. And then Tyus Battle, Frank Howard, O'Shea Brissett, all those guys played more than 39 minutes a game. So, I mean, you really can't ask much more out of them. They're all top 5 in minutes played in the ACC. So,
yeah, I mean, they're going to be a tough team. You know, they're ranked 13th in the country for a reason. I think it might be a little high, as you said, but still, they obviously deserve to be ranked, and they're going to be a tough team. And what I think would be interesting is that for a team like Duke with all these freshmen, Syracuse is going to be a tough out for them in ACC play.
Oh, for sure. They have the experience on them, to say the least. So to have 5 starters coming back, I don't think you can really – it can't get any better than that. Yeah. I think there's guys who are going to come off the bench this year, Buddy Boeheim, Jalen Carey, just young players which Boeheim usually having to play 6 or 7 guys this year. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think he's going to have an 8 or 9 man rotation.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Yep, and that's going to take us into our final local team, the Lemoyne Dolphins. Pritch, I'm going to let you take this one away because, again, you know a lot about these local area teams.
They played in the exhibition. They did play against Syracuse. You can't really expect a Division II team to come in and be a Division I powerhouse, although Lemoyne is now a Division II powerhouse. It's tough to have the expectation for them to beat Syracuse. No one really expects it. I was rooting for the Dolphins to say myself. I know a couple guys on the team, but I think losing 9 guys is definitely tough. But I still think that this team can make a run in March and even win their conference. Guys like Tom Brown, he's a returner this year, a solid player. Malik Gardner, who's a transfer from down in Pennsylvania, solid player again. You have transfers who came in, Ryan Rowland, Tyler Sullivan. They definitely have the pieces to make a run. It's just a matter of see how much this team is going to mesh and how much things are going to really work out for them.
Yeah, and the NE10 is a stacked conference, tough to compete in, but they've done extremely well these past 2 years.
For sure.
And so, you know, you can't count them out. You got to expect that they're going to be ready to go and expected to get back to the top of that conference. Maybe not early on in the season, but by the end, I would expect them to be ready.
And even a new assistant coach, Jimmy Langhurst, he went up to the Division I level. So now they bring back a coach who was there 2 years ago, and Brett Irvin, who's a great coach, great guy. So I think they'll be fine. I think it's definitely going to be – this team might have a little less talent than years before, but I think they can definitely make a run, as we said before.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's about all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next episode. Stay tuned for all the college basketball coming up. We cannot wait. It's going to be an awesome week. Pritch, we're out of here.
Can't wait for it.
See you later, knuckleheads.
Hey-o.
Pritch got it. Let's go.